Edgar Cayce once said that each soul chooses its life before it arrives on Earth. Imagine that. You come into a day already carrying an aim, a tone, a resonance you intended to express. Now imagine that, within minutes of opening your eyes, small, ordinary actions begin to blur that aim until the day has passed and you barely remember why you set out. That's the paradox Cayce's teaching invites us to notice. The big, cosmic notion of purpose shows up in the tiny, everyday choices we make, and our mornings are the most honest place to see whether we're remembering or forgetting. In this video, I'll walk you through 3 common morning habits that quietly drain your energy, explain how Cayce's imagery helps us understand what's at stake, and offer simple, practical swaps that can retune your vibration for the rest of the day. According to Edgar Cayce, souls arrive with an intention, a pattern they mean to express. He used images like a mirror of truth, where at the end of life one recognizes their choices rather than being judged, and borderland landscapes, where attachments and regrets can create a kind of gray fog that holds a soul in place. I'm not claiming his metaphysical map is scientific proof. I'm offering it as a poetic and practical way to see how the small choices of our mornings either ground us in that intention or pull us away. Think of your morning as the tuning fork for your day. What you strike first will determine the note the rest of the hours resonate with. If this resonates and you want more grounded spiritual tools for daily life, take a moment to like and subscribe. There are more short practices and explorations of Cayce's insights coming that can help you build a steadier rhythm. The first habit that steals energy is one we rarely notice because it feels normal, reaching for external stimulation before we've had a moment to meet ourselves. The phone wakes us, social feeds flood our attention, headlines tug our focus. On the surface, this seems harmless, curiosity, connection, work, but underneath it quietly lowers our frequency. Cayce's language for the same dynamic would suggest that allowing the material, the noisy outer world, to dictate our first moves is like letting the earthly pull take us off course from the vibration we intended. The effect is subtle. You start the day with someone else's priorities, and that misalignment creates friction. Psychologically, this looks like scattered attention, anxiety, and a shrinking sense of agency. Energetically, if you imagine your inner life as a light, scrolling and reacting to external content throws shade across it. Here's a simple swap. Dedicate 5 to 10 minutes to an intention-setting ritual before any screens. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Sit up in bed or step to a window. Close your eyes for 3 slow breaths.
Name one sentence that describes how you want to be today. I will listen more than I speak, or I choose small acts of courage, or I will be kind to myself. Whisper it, write it, or speak it out loud. This tiny practice does 2 things. It gives your nervous system a moment to settle into a chosen frequency, and it places an internal marker so the day's noise has to move around you rather than sweep you along. Picture a familiar morning. Mara wakes to a dozen app notifications, opens her feed on autopilot, and 45 minutes later she's moved from outrage to comparison to distraction. The energy she brought to the day is gone. She feels heavy and reactive. Now picture the same person waking 5 minutes earlier, sitting on the edge of the bed with a glass of water, taking 3 mindful breaths and writing one line. Today I will create, not chase. She tucks the paper into her pocket. Later, when emails pull at her, that line acts like a gentle anchor. The difference isn't about willpower, it's about setting the tuning, creating a small field that keeps you in resonance with your intention. If scrolling doesn't steal your minutes, it steals something subtle, the memory of why you wanted to rise in the first place. Cayce's metaphor of the mirror of truth reminds us that when our attention is scattered, our reflection becomes distorted. We can spend the day responding rather than expressing. The second energy drainer is the habit of starting the day inside regret and replay, living in yesterday's mistakes as the first shape of the morning. You've probably been there. The alarm goes off and your mind replays a tense word, a missed deadline, an awkward conversation. The replay feels like an act of moral seriousness. I should analyze this so I don't repeat it. But Cayce's imagery warns of something more insidious, cords of regret. In Cayce's language, regret can attach and tug at a soul, creating a gray field where movement becomes heavy and purposeful action gets delayed. In everyday terms, ruminating first thing establishes a pattern of low energy by anchoring you in unfinished emotion instead of present possibility. Why does this sap energy? Emotionally, rumination fattens worry and tightens muscles. It elevates stress chemicals and narrows attention to threats. Spiritually, if you accept Cayce's model as useful metaphor, it's like laying down a sticky tether to a past moment. Your internal vibration settles into glue or self-blame, making it harder to align with the life you intended. You move through the day carrying yesterday's weight. A practical, compassionate alternative takes less than 5 minutes and is designed to transmute regret into a stepping stone. Keep a small journal or a single sheet of paper by your bed. When you notice the mind drifting towards the mistake, write 3 lines. Line 1, what I learned. Line 2, I forgive myself or others. Line 3, one small action today.
The first line reframes the event as information rather than identity. The second line closes the loop of blame and frees energy that was being spent on punishment. The third line reorients toward agency, not fixing everything, but choosing one tiny act that moves you forward. Imagine David, who wakes replaying a sharp exchange with his sister. He lies there, feeling the tightness in his chest as the day begins. The cords of regret hold him. He carries the argument like a stone in his pocket. He reaches for his journal, writes, "I learned I spoke before listening. Then, I forgive myself. And, today I will listen for 10 minutes at lunch." He folds the note and places it on his dresser. The act of writing unhooks the memory enough that when his morning grows busy, he's not dragged under by it. He still remembers the lesson, but it no longer steals the tone of the day. It's important to stress that this isn't denial. Cayce's view of the borderland suggests that recognition, not suppression, is part of spiritual growth. Naming regret, then releasing it into a practical plan, is a way to honor what happened and still move with intention. This practice is not a magic cure. It's an invitation to keep your vibration from being anchored by past weight. If leaving yesterday behind feels impossible, remember, small rituals rewire attention. Habit 3 is often described as lifestyle advice, but it has spiritual consequences. Rushing the body, skipping grounding, neglecting simple nourishment, and moving in a survival mode creates dissonance between your inner pattern and your outer actions. Cayce spoke about aligning the body with the soul's pattern. In his model, the body is not merely a vehicle, but a responsive instrument. Ignore basic care and the instrument gets out of tune. Practically, when you rush out the door with little water, no breath, and a tense neck, your nervous system registers alert. You carry that alert into decisions, conversations, and creative work. Energy is consumed in reactivity rather than presence. The swap here is intentionally embodied and time-efficient. 3 grounding practices that take under 3 minutes total. First, hydrate. Drink a full glass of water to begin physiological balance. Second, breathe. Take 1 full minute of slow, diaphragmatic breathing. Inhale for 4, exhale for 6, enough to signal safety to your vagus nerve. Third, move. A 30-second stretch or a grounding stance. Feet hip-width apart, knees soft, weight evenly distributed, hands at your sides, to bring attention into the body. If you want a more immediate wake-up, splash cool water on your face. Cayce himself emphasized hydrotherapy in certain contexts as a practical way to shift bodily states. None of this is mystical. It's simple somatic care that helps your energy cohere. Picture Leela, who bolts out of bed, grabs leftover coffee, and runs to her day.
Her jaw is tight, shoulders hunched, and she juggles a phone and bag the whole time. By mid-morning, she feels thin, like energy is leaking from a poorly sealed container. Now picture Leela taking 90 seconds at sunrise. Glass of water, long breath, a forward fold, and neck release. She notices the difference. Not cosmic perfection, just a steadier center. Her decisions become less reactive because her body and breath are aligned enough to support calm thought. A crucial point. Grounding practices are not about making your life perfect, nor are they a prescription for deep medical issues. They are invitations to remind the nervous system of safety and to give the soul a more supportive instrument for expression. Cayce's metaphor would suggest that when the body and the inner aim resonate, the soul's planned vibration can more easily be carried through the day. Between these 3 habits, external overload, morning rumination, and rushing the body, there is a common theme: forgetting your intention. Cayce's larger idea, that souls choose their paths, becomes practical when we see how easily ordinary habits obscure that choice. In less mystical language, the first moments after waking set cognitive, emotional, and physiological baselines. If those baselines are distracted, anchored in the past, or physiologically stressed, your day's energy follows suit. So how do we begin to practice remembering? Start small and compassionate. Pick one of the 3 habits and apply a single swap for 7 days. If you choose the device-free intention, set a gentle alarm 5 or 10 minutes earlier and sit with your breath and your sentence. If journaling appeals, promise yourself 3 lines each morning. No more judgments, just short entries. If grounding feels right, make a small kit: a cup of water on your nightstand, a written breathing prompt, a sticky note with stretch on the door. Keep track in the simplest possible way: a checkbox each morning, a quick note of how your energy felt on a scale of 1 to 10. This is not about achieving some ideal, but about seeing change. Small, consistent shifts build the kind of vibrational reorientation Cayce described without requiring metaphysical leaps. If you try this experiment, notice what shifts. Maybe you'll find that a 5-minute intention reduces your reactivity at work. Maybe the journaling clears a recurring worry and creates space for play. Maybe the 3 physical practices help your concentration last longer into the afternoon. None of these are guaranteed miracles. They are practical gestures that increase the probability you will remember your aims and live with more coherence. A few common obstacles deserve attention because they're human and frequent. One is perfectionism. People often expect immediate transformation and then judge themselves for failure. Treat the process like planting seeds, not flipping a switch.
Cayce's language of grace and rebalancing across lifetimes can be read as a reminder that growth is iterative. We are offered opportunities to adjust, not to be instantly fixed. Another obstacle is skepticism. People who feel metaphysical language is strange might dismiss the whole idea. That's okay. The practices I've suggested have secular benefits too. Intention setting improves focus, journaling clarifies priorities, and grounding supports the nervous system. You can try them without buying into any particular cosmology. A second obstacle is shame. Many of us feel guilty for the habits themselves. Notice how quickly shame lowers your energy further. Instead of scolding, lean into curiosity. Ask, what pattern is this habit serving? If morning scrolling calms anxious waiting, then a different calming practice might be more effective than trying to eradicate the habit overnight. If rumination helps you feel morally responsible, then the 3-line journal reframes responsibility into learning and action. Compassion disarms the cords of regret more effectively than harshness. There are also practical suggestions for making these swaps more sustainable. Pair a new ritual with a current one. Place your journal beside your toothbrush, put a glass of water on your nightstand, or set your intention while the kettle heats. Build environmental cues that support the new pattern, so your willpower doesn't have to do all the work. Use technology wisely. If screens are the habit you want to break, use a simple app timer, a do not disturb setting, or place your device across the room to create friction. Again, these are supports, not moral judgments. As you experiment, pay attention to tiny feedback loops. Cayce's imagery of attunement is relational. Vibration resonates with vibration. When you begin the day in a steadier place, you'll notice subtle echoes. People respond differently to you, your ideas feel clearer, and small opportunities that match your intention appear more easily. Don't mistake correlation for mysticism. Think of it as an emergent pattern. You tune your internal instrument, and the music you play changes the fabric of your day. A brief note about language and limits. When I use Cayce's images, mirror of truth, borderland, chords of regret, I'm borrowing a metaphorical map to make practical habits feel meaningful. Edgar Cayce presented one way of describing human purpose and memory. If his metaphors resonate for you, they can be a rich guide. If they don't, the practical practices stand on their own merit. I'm not promising spiritual guarantees or universal doctrines. These are invitations grounded in compassion for the human tendency to forget what matters. Before we close, let me offer a few concrete scripts you can use in those first minutes of the morning to make the change easier. For intention setting, try a single sentence you can repeat. Today I choose presence over reaction. For the forgiveness line in the journal, use, I forgive myself for what I did not yet know, and I will act differently today. For a quick grounding breath, try this. Inhale gently for 4 counts, hold for 1, exhale slowly for 6. Repeat 3 times, and notice your shoulders drop. These short scripts are anchors you can carry in your pocket all day. Remember, the point is not perfection. It's not about never picking up your phone or pretending pain never matters. The point is remembrance, making a small, repeated choice to align the first moments of your day with the life you intend to live. Cayce's insight gives us evocative language for that process. A soul that forgets becomes trapped in gray fields of incessant reaction. A soul that remembers gets to live with more purpose and resonance. Both images point toward a practical truth we can test. Mornings matter. If you are willing to try one of these changes, choose one habit and commit to a week. Keep it small. Track one observable detail each day. How you felt when you first started work, whether your mood shifted at midday, or whether a small decision felt easier. If you're comfortable, come back and share in the comments which habit you tried and what you noticed. Your experience will help others who are experimenting too. As you experiment, hold to a spirit of tenderness. Cayce's writings emphasize grace and opportunity rather than shame or punishment. Consider your mornings as small fields of practice where you cultivate memory. Each time you pause before a phone scroll,
each time you reframe a regret into a lesson, and each time you ground the body with water and breath, you are making a tiny pilgrimage back to the aim you intended for this life. Those moments add up. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe and share with someone who might appreciate a more soulful morning. Comment below with which of the 3 habits you'll experiment with this week: external overload, morning rumination, or rushing the body, and how you plan to swap it. If Edgar Cayce's imagery intrigued you and you'd like a deeper yet still practical exploration of his ideas about purpose and vibration, let me know. I'll prepare more content that connects his insights with everyday practices. May your mornings become minutes of remembrance rather than erasure. Start small. Be gentle. Notice the change.